Bells do not ring on the moon. Instead, emergencies announce themselves as thin vibrations in the bones, a haptic Morse code transmitted by base implants. At 400 on cycle 312, the first vibration rattled Kai's wrist. 4 pulses, external breach, followed by a long pause, docking bay. He flung aside the polymer blanket and hopped into the low-G hallway, feet barely skimming the grooved floor. Outside the porthole, the curtain of stars glittered as always, but the view closer to the horizon was wrong. A convoy of battered cyclers, ships that should have stayed in Earth orbit, crawled toward Tranquillitatis colony like exhausted beetles. Their thermal skins were scorched, antennae snapped, hulls pocked with meteoroid hits. And still they came. A dozen, then 2 dozen, lights flickering like dying embers. Kai grabbed his translation slate and sprinted for command. He was 17, officially listed as Linguistic Liaison Junior, though everyone called him the kid who talked too easily to strangers. Growing up in a polyglot family of surveyors, he had learned Mandarin lullabies, Yoruba proverbs, Portuguese curses, and the clipped lunar standard used by the original settlers. Lately, Commander Ada had tasked him with something simple. Tutor the maintenance drones in conversational prompts, so the synthetic voices sounded less like vacuum pumps. Nobody expected the job to become life or death. The command dome felt smaller than usual, packed with officers scrolling hazard readouts. Red status banners flashed across every screen. Life support stretch. Water reserves critical. O2 at 37% buffer. Commander Ida's silver buzz cut bristled. 78 refugees already docked, she told Kai without preamble. Hundreds more incoming. We can't push them back into space. They'd suffocate. But we can't feed them. I need you in Bay 2. The cycler people speak an ugly mash of coastal Spanish, Khmer, and half-coded ship Argot. No one else understands it. Go. Kai sealed his helmet, but left the visor up. The corridor air was still breathable, if thin. As he ran, lights above switched from white to amber. Stage 2 conservation. Every lumen counted when power was vented to scrubbers straining beyond spec. He reached Bay 2 as the outer hatch clanged. The first wave of Earth refugees spilled onto the sponge foam deck. Gaunt, sunburned faces, children clutching patchworked foil blankets, elders hobbling on swollen legs that had forgotten lunar gravity. The refugees' leader, a tall woman wearing a cracked visor raised above brow like a crown, barked harsh syllables. Kai toggled his slate to audio capture. The woman said, "Ground fell into the sea, Delhi a furnace, Beijing ash. We followed the charts. We were told there was air here." Kai swallowed. Soy Kai, interprete. He tried a blend of Spanish and Khmer, rolling consonants as softly as he could. "You have arrived at Tranquillitatis. We will try to help." Her reply was rapid. "Help means shelter and oxygen. We have 50 canisters left. After that..." She drew a finger across her throat. Station medics rushed forward with stretchers. Security guards hovered behind, hands grazing stunners. Kai noticed how their suit seams bulged. They'd layered extra carbon fiber pads beneath. The guards feared violence, and the refugees were desperate enough to oblige. Another convoy punctured orbit 90 minutes later. Docking arms groaned. Commander Ida's broadcast crackled through every comm channel. Population now exceeds safe margin by 231. If consumption continues, O2 fails in 4 days. 4 days of air. The lunar base had survived meteor storms, freezer quakes, even the brief war of independence from Earth Authority. But suffocation was impartial. It throttled victors and victims alike. The Colony Council convened on the mezzanine overlooking hydroponics, their faces fluorescent green in the glow of algae vats. The vats produced 40% of the station's oxygen and half the calories. At capacity, They could feed 900 souls. There were now 1,200 and climbing. Chief Engineer Yusuf slapped a tablet. We jettison half the newcomers. The law is clear. Life support override. We aren't murderers. We're mathematicians. Dr. Nguyen's voice trembled. Shove humans back into vacuum. We become the monsters everyone back on Earth already calls us. Earth is gone, Yusuf countered. We're what's left. Commander Atta looked at Kai. Suggestions, translator? The room quieted. As if surprised, the kid had a seat. Kai tasted copper. He must have bitten his lip. The arguments seemed framed in numbers. Liters of O2, megawatts, calories. Yet language mattered too. Divide people by idiom, and you have empathy. Give me the next 12 hours, he said. Let me talk to both sides. Maybe there's a trade or ration scheme. The refugees have equipment, skills. We can expand hydroponics, patch the old Swedish condenser. But we need trust. Yusuf snorted. 12 hours is 3% of remaining air. Atta rubbed the bridge of her nose. He gets 6. Kai's first stop was the temporary refugee ward carved from the gymnasium. The smell of unwashed bodies mixed with disinfectant until the air tasted sour. The tall woman in the cracked visor stood by a huddle of elders. She introduced herself as Captain Marisol An, once of the Veracruz orbital tug fleet. Kai sat cross-legged before them. The colony is suffocating, he said bluntly. Honesty, his father taught, was the quickest lingua franca. If we don't cut consumption, we all die. Marisol considered him. Her cheekbones protruded like struts under taut skin. We didn't come to steal, she said. We came because the planet boiled. We can work, grow food, mine regolith, fix reactors. But if your people lock us out of the greenhouses, we will force our way in. A teenager overhead, eavesdropping from a bunk, shouted approval in fractured Khmer. The ward rippled with murmurs. Violence means vents get punctured, Kai said. Nobody breathes bullet holes. He inhaled slowly. Psychological mirror, until a few refugees copied. What can you offer right now? Something tangible that earns you time. Marisol gestured to a weather-beaten crate. Inside were silver cylinders. Li SO2 cells, high-density batteries from decommissioned satellites. We salvaged these when the orbital grid died. Power for your scrubbers. If they're intact, Kai mused, that's worth 4, maybe 5 days of oxygen. Enough for expansion. He recorded the itemized inventory, tagged with bilingual labels. Promise tokens, his mother would have said. Words you can hold. Before leaving, Kai noticed Captain Marisol watching him, as though measuring an hourglass inverted deep inside his chest. Next, he headed to Bay 6, where lunar colonists tinkered on surface crawlers, converting them into barricades. Lead mechanic Oyen raised a hydrospanner. Kid, tell command to pull the plug. We can't risk our children for foreigners. Her faceplate reflected Kai's own, a skinny boy with wide, haunted eyes. They're not foreigners, Kai replied quietly. There's no Earth to be foreign from. He explained the batteries. Oyen shrugged. Batteries run out. Trust me, machines die. Kai squatted beside her. If we couple the batteries with the old solar arrays from the abandoned Rim outpost, we create a stable grid extension. More power, more scrubber cycles. A lieutenant listening nearby frowned. Even if that works, the refugees could sabotage the systems and take control. That's why you joined the build crew, Kai said. Shared effort, shared oxygen. He left them arguing, seeds of possibility germinating amid skepticism. Hours bled away. Kai's personal air monitor pinged. CO2 creeping upward as bodies exhaled more than filters could swallow. His slate translated a medley of curses, prayers, love songs whispered to infants. So many dialects, but every syllable exhaled the same carbon that threatened them. At the 2-hour mark, Commander Ida called. Status. Negotiations progressing. Need joint assembly, he answered. 2 hours, translator. After that, we enact triage. Kai convened the assembly in the central hub, the only chamber large enough for both factions. Gravity there was a gentle eighth of Earth. People drifted to benches, some clutching tether lines to keep themselves from floating into strangers. The dome's prismatic glass revealed the black plain outside, a reminder of how thin protection truly was. On one side stood Marisol and a cluster of refugees, many still wearing threadbare suits. On the other, colony staff in pristine white coveralls. In the middle, Kai perched on a service ladder so everyone could see him. The slate, slung at his hip, relayed in 2 tongues. Phrases overlapped by half a second, like an echo catching its breath. He began with story rather than plea. My grandmother planted rice in the Mekong Delta, he said, voice amplified by wall mics. One year the river flooded. Neighbors tied their houses together with bamboo, so none would drift away. They called it the Year of Floating Villages. The only way to survive water is to share the raft. Silence held. Kai imagined oxygen molecules bouncing between lungs. He forced himself to breathe calmly. Panic accelerated waste. Captain Marisol offers batteries salvaged from orbit, he continued. Enough power to keep scrubbers at full tilt for 5 extra days. In exchange, the colony provides access to hydroponics and technical schematics. Mechanic Oyen spoke into her wrist mic. Power is good, but we still lack food. A refugee farmer, Dowd, lifted a pouch of brown seeds. Through the translator, he said, Quinoa bred for Martian dust. Grows fast, low water. We saved them for a future that never came. Kai seized the moment. Seed stock plus labor equals bigger harvest. We can reseal Sector 9, the old algae corridors, use the batteries to warm the germination lamps. Chief Engineer Yusuf's voice crackled over comm. We're already at structural limit. Extra bodies strain habitation modules. Marisol responded, eyes blazing. We brought hull patches, sealant, exoframes. Give us the crater's north wall. We build new rooms. You think we survived Earth's collapse to freeload? Arguments ricocheted. Kai felt them sliding toward chaos. He raised both hands, palms outward. Stop. Listen. His slate repeated in both languages. The delay made his plea haunting, like a future voice warning the present. When I translate your words, Kai said, I notice you use the same metaphors. You speak of choking, not just for air, but under the weight of fear. You speak of home, not as soil, but as people. Language is already telling you you're one tribe. Let's write the grammar of survival together. He displayed a chart projecting oxygen curves with and without cooperation. Hybrid power grid, expanded algae beds, seed integration. The cooperative model showed peril still, but the red crash line bent outward, 10 days, maybe 12. Enough to call for the distant supply ship from Mars orbit, scheduled months away, but able to slingshot early, if given a reason. Commander Ida's voice came soft over the chamber. If this fails, Kai, it's on your conscience. It's on all of ours, he replied, because consciousness ends the same for everyone without air. Voting was clumsy. Colonists raised blue glow sticks, refugees raised red. Kai tallied through the slate. 73% for cooperation, a supermajority by colony charter. Yusuf muttered, May math forgive us. Implementation began at once. Refugee engineers paired with colony electricians to bench test the LiSO2 cells. The first unit sputtered, then fed energy into a crusty transformer that hadn't seen full load in years. Hydroponics volunteers hauled algae bioreactors from storage, aided by teenagers from both camps who giggled at the green slime sloshing under weak gravity. Kai orchestrated language courses on the fly, tool names, safety commands, jokes to break tension. He discovered a shared hobby in old Earth music. Soon workers hammered metal to the beat of a synthesized Khmer cumbia. 3 days passed. The oxygen margin inched upward, though still perilous. Once, a scrubber overheated and belched acrid smoke, sending everyone scrambling for masks. Marisol and Oyin together yanked the breaker, preventing a firestorm. Their cough-racked laughter afterward felt like a treaty sealed. On day 4, Commander Ida summoned Kai to the observation deck. Reflective Earth hung above the horizon, a ghost half-shrouded in gray hurricane bands. "Mars Command confirms launch in 10 days, she said. "They can bring compressed O2 and nutrient bricks. We just have to stay alive until then." Kai gazed at the planet that had ousted its children. He tried to picture rivers, forests, bazaars, wondered if any remained. A low chime interrupted. Air alarms again. He and Ida rushed downstairs. Sector 9, newly reactivated, had sprung a microfracture. Frost spidered across the viewport as heat zipped into vacuum. Auto doors sealed, but 10 workers were trapped inside, oxygen bleeding. Among them, Captain Marisol. Emergency protocol dictated venting the entire sector to save overall pressure. It would kill those inside. Commander Ida's hand hovered over the red consent tile. Kai's voice cracked. "Wait. We're losing kilos of air per second. Give me headphones." He tuned into Sector 9's sub-carrier frequency. Static. Then Marisol's labored breathing. "Transpo? Turkai? I'm here." His own mask fogged. "Listen, there's a portable hull patch 2 meters left of the junction. You can seal from the inside. Our suit tanks are almost dry. I'll talk you through." Ida whispered, "We have 30 seconds." Kai translated instructions, while simultaneously describing them. In colloquial slang, Marisol's team grasped faster. "Grab the silver gum, slap it like you're sealing a tortilla on a hot plate, smooth outward, count to 8 heartbeats, then hit the activator." Hisses, a muted cheer. Instruments showed the leak slow, then stop. Sector 9's pressure stabilized at marginally survivable. Kai exhaled so hard his visor rattled. Around him, colonists and refugees standing along the corridor burst into applause that sounded like rain on a tin roof. Small, sharp, unstoppable. Later, patched up and shivering from decompression shock, Marisol met Kai outside infirmary. "You saved more than us," she said. "You saved the Covenant." Kai shook his head. "You all did. Words are worthless without hands to make them real." In the following cycles, the algae harvest doubled. Quinoa sprouts unfurled under pink LEDs. Children wove between tanks, stapling bilingual labels. Oxygeno, Soxian, Agua, Tuck, turning science into nursery lessons. The Mars relief ship, Promise, arrived on the 12th day. Its docking clamps kissed Tranquillitatis with a clang that echoed through the Foundation like the first beats of a heart restarting. Pressurized containers of oxygen hissed into the main lines, and for the first time in weeks, everyone inhaled deeply without counting breaths. A joint celebration convened in Gravity Garden, the only place where centrifugal force allowed a semblance of upright dancing. Kai stood beside Commander Ida, Marisol, Oyin, and the refugee farmer Dowd, who cradled a pot of sprouting green. Ida raised a flask of reclaimed water, flavored with mint. "To young Mr. Tran, our bridge of words," she toasted. Kai blushed. Bridges are walked on, he protested, cheeks warming. Exactly, Marisol replied. We walked across, and now we build on the far side. Music rose, an interlaced track of Earth's lost oceans, lunar seismic hum and children's laughter sampled that very hour. People moved in swirling semi-gravity, partners trading steps regardless of colony or convoy origin. Above the spinning ring, a new banner unfurled, two intertwined helixes, one blue, one silver, nodding into the shape of a single lung. Kai watched it, feeling the tug of possible futures. The moon was still a harsh mistress. Meteors would fall, scrubbers would fail again, and beyond, the solar system held other perils. But languages, like air, could be replenished if people chose to share them. As the celebration drifted on, Kai slipped outside the ring to the quiet corridor overlooking the regolith plains. The stars looked closer here, as if eavesdropping on humanity's fragile truce. He activated his recorder and whispered, "Day something. Numbers don't matter right now. We ran out of breath, so we borrowed each other's. Turns out there is enough, as long as it keeps passing from one mouth, one story, to the next." He smiled, saved the file in both languages, and titled it simply Covenant of Air.